Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. All right, I've got a special day today on the BriteVibe podcast. I've actually got two guests. We have Vahan Yepremyan. No, that was wrong. You helped me out there.
That's pretty good, actually. Vahan Yepremyan.
I apologize, but we're going to get into what where you're from in the podcast today.
Yes.
And Shelly Lefkoe, which is from the United States. But you guys are co-authored. That's why we're bringing you on the BriteVibe podcast today. I love the topic, love the subject. We talk a lot about leadership. We talk a lot about personal improvement, leadership improvement, business improvement. And you guys that's your wheelhouse. That's what this whole book's about. I would like to kick it off with just the title of the book and then get into a little bit of why you wrote the book. So the book is titled Hitting the Wall, Eliminate the Beliefs of Sabotage that Sabotage Your Business and Your Life. And then again, you guys are co-authored. But I love some of the stuff that you've got. I'm looking at your website. If you've ever hesitated to seize an opportunity or been slowed down by self-doubt, struggled with work-life balance, leading to burnout and ruined personal relationships, viewed any failure as catastrophic setback instead of a learning opportunity. So basically, you wrote the book for me. Like when I read those things, I was like, you just needed to put little boxes where I could just check them. Like, yep, that one, that one, that one, that one. And as I read through some of the book stuff, I was like, oh, yep, I checked all. I think I can check. I'm your avatar for who you wrote the book for. I think I made every business mistake and every personal mistake you could make. So I'm fair game today on the show.
Almost all of the beliefs that limiting beliefs we discuss in the books, to a certain extent, I have experienced and I've had to deal with. And it's more common than you think. As I work with, for the past 25 years, I've been working with entrepreneurs and their ventures in a capacity of an attorney and a business consultant, and different beliefs that hold them back have them experience this kind of hitting the wall phenomenon. And as I help myself get rid of some of them, I start paying attention and noticing a lot more of what they're going through and helping them through that as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And then, so you're an attorney, you're in business, you're obviously about self-improvement, you're about leadership improvement, right? And it looks like you're out there exploring. And then in 2015, Shelly's on stage and you're in the audience at a Mind Valley conference, right? Which I've had Vision on the show. So he and I have had conversations. So he's been on this podcast as well. Small world when you get into this space, right? I looked at some of your clients and stuff too. I was like, oh yeah, I know that person. I know this person.
Yeah.
So Vahan, you're in the audience. Shelly, you're on stage and you're talking about eliminating these limiting beliefs. Is that correct? Because that's your body of work, correct?
Yep.
And so let's go into what you've done over the last 30-ish years in that space.
So how we met and fell madly in love is we wrote this book, Matt, without having one argument. I mean,
wow.
Not one, and it took 4 years.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And that's our claim to fame.
Yes.
But he came over to me and he said, I've been working with entrepreneurs. And just like my late husband said, when we worked in corporations, he told them what to do. They knew what to do. They said, that's brilliant. He is not just a lawyer. He owns a law firm besides an entertainment company.
Yes.
So he's listening to me talk and he goes, it's their beliefs. Let's write a book. So that's how the book came to be. So for the past over 30 years, I've been working with people from every walk of life in every country, many entrepreneurs. And, it's funny when you use the term limiting beliefs, a belief by its very definition is limiting.
Right.
Because belief is a statement about reality that we hold as the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the truth, there's no room for anything else.
Right.
So we get rid of people's beliefs permanently by taking them through this process that my late husband divined.
Mm-hmm.
And all the beliefs in the book are beliefs that, my story is when my husband died 8 years ago, I did not know the difference between a P&L and a balance sheet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you said to me, you want to run a business? I'd say, well, you could shoot me in the head first. And maybe.
Right, right,
Not interesting to me.
right.
Be in front of 1,000 people, put anybody in front of me, their life will transform. But
Mhm.
run a business, and I had to step up.
Mhm.
Couldn't bring anybody in. It didn't work financially. It didn't work from a body of knowledge, so I had to step up, and I did. And because of the beliefs that I had worked on, mistakes and failures are bad, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not capable. And if I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected. And the belief that ran my life, which is very, very common for a lot of people, is what makes me good enough or what makes me important is having other people think
Mm.
well of me. When
Right.
I got rid of that belief, I was able to step up and do it and ask for help and make mistakes. And I have tripled our business from when my husband died. And I could never have done that having the beliefs that I had.
Yeah. And so I've had have currently, I think we all still have limiting beliefs. As we evolve, we try to upgrade those limiting beliefs, right? So let's find more empowering belief systems
Right.
anyway. To your point, all beliefs are limiting in and of themselves. But as we kind of look at upgrading those limiting beliefs, I guess let's dive into a little bit of what you've written about here, but kind of one, just being aware that we all have them, right? We all have these, no matter how successful or how happy or put whatever label you want, however, what you are, there's some beliefs and they're kind of like a thermostat, right? They're kind of to a lot, like a lot of people, meaning they have a set point. So if we let that limiting belief in there, even if we have some success, we'll come back down to that set point, meaning it's kind of like people that lose and gain weight
Mhm.
all the time. They kind of have a set weight that they, for the most part, stay at most of their lives. It's kind of like that with limiting beliefs around money or around personal relationships. Unless we fix these things that are limiting beliefs, we always come back kind of to our set point. So, it's like lottery winners, right? It's kind of cliche now that if you win the lottery within, I don't know, 5 years, you're bankrupt financially
Mhm.
because you don't know how to treat wealth. You don't know. I mean, there was no education. You're just instantly wealthy overnight. And then that wealth you spend through it. And you're NFL players and professional athletes, same problem, right? They just have never had wealth. And in the book, you kind of describe this, but in essence, one, how do you recognize and identify what's holding you back? And then what do you do about it?
And you're absolutely right. The motivation or anything else will take you only so far,
Mhm.
which is why January 1st, all the gyms are full
Mhm.
of people working out. And then come February, they're back to whatever the pattern they were in before they
Mhm.
made these resolutions. And so beliefs, having the right beliefs will help you sustain whatever goals you set.
Mhm.
And obviously, getting rid of your limiting beliefs doesn't mean your business will soar and triple and quadruple. It just means that you're not going to have these chains holding you back. You just get a chance to really focus on the business and let the business, grow without you sabotaging it or holding it back. For me personally, I've noticed patterns, and there's usually, if you have a belief, then there'll be a pattern emerging where, why does this always happen? Or why do I always do this? Or why do I always get to this point and not further? Right.
Mhm.
And both for me and for my clients, I've had a client who every year her business will go up to a certain point and then it'll just kind of stagnate at a certain point. And sometimes that happened early in the year. It's like, all right, I'm going to double, triple, and then it just kind of stops or towards the end. And so what is it? For me, I had a lot of issues with, for example, money,
Mhm.
right? And so I'd find myself sometimes doing the work and not invoicing the clients just because money was a whole different topic I didn't want to touch. And I was just
Mhm.
here to serve my clients and help them set up and grow their businesses. And that conversation wasn't um, comfortable for me
Mhm.
just because as I grew up in Soviet Union, you know, the whole conversation about wealth and standing out and capitalism and, all that stuff was having an effect. And as I kind of noticed, like, okay, I can't, I would see certain cash flow issues early on in my business, because if you're not invoicing, you're not getting paid, you can't sustain your business.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right when you said that, the first thing is recognizing that you have these beliefs. And the way to do it is just to pay attention of, what are certain patterns that keep reappearing, whether it's in your business or in your life. And then, using this system that Shelly and her husband put together to identify them and how to get rid of them. And Shelly, maybe you can come in and give some of your insight as well.
And I want to also speak to something that you said, Vahan. Not invoicing is not uncommon.
Right. Yep.
There are people who, go bankrupt because they just couldn't send an invoice. Making money is not spiritual, or I don't deserve it, or, whatever beliefs are underlying that. I want to make a distinction between a pattern, which is what Vahan was talking about, and a pattern is observable. So I can see you procrastinate. I can see you working 14 hours a day. I could see you fear of public speaking. You could see somebody being nervous when they're speaking in public. And it's interesting because fear of public speaking is the number one fear in the country. Jerry Seinfeld famously said that would mean, if that's true, then at a funeral, I would rather be in the coffin than doing eulogy, right?
Right, yeah.
And all fear of public speaking is 11 beliefs and what we call conditionings. But it's the same for every person. It's the only pattern that's the same. So a pattern is observable. Beliefs are not. Beliefs are what drive the pattern. And I'm going to talk about survival strategy beliefs. What makes some people who have the same core beliefs, I'm not good enough, mistakes and failures are bad, all of that. What makes some people successful and some people not? And it's what we call survival strategy beliefs. So if you're a child, which is where most of our beliefs get formed, and you form the belief, I'm not good enough or I'm not important. So if you're criticized as a child, you form the belief, I'm not good enough. If your parents are not around and they work all the time and you don't get attention, you conclude I'm not important. Then one day something happened, and I'm going to tell you why beliefs seem so hard to get rid of when they're really not. So one day something happens, you're an adolescent, and you start getting acknowledged for A's and goals. Right? So it's either academics or sports, but you get acknowledged for your achievements. So then you conclude, what makes me good enough or important is achieving. So now I have a beach ball. It's called I'm not good enough or I'm not important. And it's in my face. But as long as I'm achieving, and this is what workaholism is, as long as I'm achieving, that beach ball stays underwater. So it's like a heroin addiction. And in the book, I talk about one of my clients who called me and he said, Shelly, I am worth $10 million. I'm on the cover of business publications. My second wife is ready to divorce me. I don't know my kids. I keep telling them I'm going to come home for their games, or I'm going to come to their games or their performances, and I never make it out of the office. When is it going to be enough? And I said, never. Because if what makes you good enough are your achievements, it's a heroin addiction. You have to keep doing it because every time you stop, up in your face comes, I'm not good enough or I'm not. So our survival strategies might make us look good. But in the book, we talk about watering all the plants. You have a body that needs to be taken care of. You have hopefully hobbies that light you up. I played pickleball already this morning. So nice. I'm going to, and I'll play again tonight if I can. So, that's important. Taking care of your body, having relationships, having fun, having hobbies. being a good parent, being a good partner in a relationship. Those are all your plans, and you can't just water one. The other thing is the opposite of that is procrastination. No matter what I do, it'll never be good enough. So I don't pull the trigger. I don't care that there's a 2.0 and it's now, talked about everywhere. Fail forward. It doesn't matter. If you believe no matter what I do, it'll never be good enough, or I'm a loser, or I don't have what it takes, or whatever your beliefs are, will make you procrastinate. And you can take every course on time management and how to handle procrastination, and you could do affirmations in the mirror, and you're going to believe your beliefs are going to win out every time.
And so let's get into then how kind of the system that Shelly, you and what was your late husband's name? Because I
Morty.
feel Morty. So what was the system that you and Morty came up with to really help people, identify, which we've, talked about here, but then how do we eliminate or fix and I usually look at it, how do I upgrade? Because there's going to be beliefs in there, right? No? Okay. I'll let you go run with that.
So first of all, I want to, again, illuminate something you said.
Mhm.
A belief is a box, right?
Mhm,
So make
mhm.
believe you have the belief people can't be trusted,
Okay.
right? Delegating is not a possibility inside that box.
that box, right.
When the box goes away,
Mhm.
the only thing that happens is I can choose from all the possibilities instead of just the ones in that box.
Okay.
Which is why when you eliminate a belief, like Vahan said, it's not like your business is going to explode. You still have to learn the difference between a P&L and a balance sheet, right? But there's possibilities that didn't exist before.
Mhm.
You have to work hard to make money. Well, having miracles happen and passive income and, is not a possibility inside that box. You won't even see it. If somebody comes to you and says, do this, you'll go, no, you can't do that.
Right.
You just won't do it. So beliefs get formed. We come into this world. We don't know if money is scarce and hard to get or abundant. We don't know if life is hard or easy, and we don't know if we're good enough or not. And you're born into a family unit, whatever that is. And it could be 2 moms, 2 dads, a single mother. It doesn't matter. 2 parents. And the question that children ask is why, right?
Mhm.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, 2.
2. Okay. So you remember when they were little?
They still are little.
Oh, they're little. Okay, good.
Yeah. I've got 4 and 8.
4 and 8. Perfect. What does your 4-year-old ever ask why?
I ask her, and she usually just tells me because. She just says, "No, that's the way it is."
That's right.
I'm like,
that's why you never ask the question why.
and it's funny
question.
because I'm like, and the funny thing is, I catch myself, and I'm like, yeah, you're like, she loves. Yesterday, she wore her swimsuit all day long, and before I would be like, Sophie, why are you wearing your swimsuit? She goes, because I want to, and I'm like, that's good enough for me, because I'm like, why do I care that she wears her swimsuit? So now when she wakes up in the morning, she says she wants to wear a swimsuit. I'm like, okay, let's wear your swimsuit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
why do I care?
let me give you a little coaching. Okay.
Perfect.
So I have a parenting course that I created because of what I've been listening to for 30 years.
Right.
Don't ask the question why. Ask the question. We won't get into this, but ask the question what. What is it about wearing your swimsuit that you like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much better question.
Right.
What is it that's having you not want to go to school? Will give you much more information than why.
Mm-hmm.
But does she ever say, why can't I have dessert? Why can't I have candy? Or why is it
not at 4? She's pretty much just like determined. She's just very a willful child.
Okay. So you're the first person that's ever said that.
Yeah, no,
she's a willful child, but they still want to know, why can't I have a play date? Why do I have to go to sleep?
She's at the age where she just wants what she wants, and so she's just going to continue on that track. Now Sam, my 8-year-old, he'll say why, right? He'll want to know the explanation behind it. But the 4-year-old, it's as she says, now. I want it. I want this now.
Most 40-year-olds, in my experience, ask why all day long.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Why can't I have a play date? Why do I have
Right.
to go to
Yeah.
sleep? Why do I
Right.
have to, like, why? Right?
Mhm.
Why do I have to eat my vegetables?
Mhm.
So they observe their parents' behavior
Mhm.
and they say, why are my parents struggling with money? Why can't they pay the bills? Now, here's the thing. Oh, I see. Money is scarce and hard to get. So in Vahan's case, he's in Soviet Union, so culture could make a difference. Oh, entrepreneurship is bad. Having money is bad. Thinking
Right.
outside the box is bad. I saw that, right? It was illegal. You can't even
Mhm.
do it. So if you criticize your kid,
Mhm.
they will see, they think, that they're not good enough.
Mm.
Right? If you look
Mhm.
at your iPhone while you're talking to your child,
Right.
what they're seeing is, I'm not important,
Right.
or
Yep.
what I have to say is not important.
Mhm.
Now, here's why our system works, and I've never seen anything else work like it. It is impossible to not believe something you think you saw. I'll say it again.
Mhm.
It is impossible to not believe something you think you saw. So if somebody said to you, Shelly's a blonde, what would you say?
I would say, yes, she is.
Oh, she's a redhead.
Oh, redhead. Okay. Well, sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can say. Okay.
Okay.
So, or Vahan doesn't wear glasses.
Well, yes, we see Vaughn wears glasses. Yes.
And you'd say, no,
Oh,
he
I
does
get what
wear
you're saying.
glasses.
Yeah. 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 Right.
And they'd say, no, he doesn't. And you'd
Right.
say, he does. And you would fight to the death
Yeah. Right.
because you see
See it.
him wearing glasses.
Right.
So I have clients all over the world. And when I say to them, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm not good enough? Every single solitary person says, yes. Well, sometimes people say I felt it, but 99% of the time they say, yes.
Hmm.
Now, I had 5 Harvard PhDs that I worked with who had the belief I'm stupid.
Wow.
They knew they weren't stupid. They had a PhD from Harvard, but they
Right.
still did. And every time something happened,
Mhm.
that's what would come up. One of them wouldn't leave a job that he hated because he had the belief, I'm stupid.
I'm stupid, so I can't get another.
job.
Yeah, I can't
Right.
get another job. Wow.
So what we do is we have a way to help people get, you never saw that you were stupid or that you weren't good enough. You saw, in this guy's case, you saw your father smack you on the back of the head and say, genius, every time you made a mistake. You never saw mistakes and failures are bad. You saw getting yelled at when you didn't do what your parents wanted, or going into the traditional education environment and seeing red X's. But the only place the belief existed was in your head. You made that up.
That's amazing. And so, what do you? So obviously, you've taken all the time, effort. You said it yourself. You took 4 years to write this book, Hitting the Wall. What kept you driving forward to do it? And then, what's your hope with this specific message and with this book?
Just seeing people, I work in the entrepreneurial world where
Mhm.
people come in and they have dreams and aspirations and goals and passions about creating something, whether it's a service, whether it's a company, whether it's a product,
Mhm.
and seeing them struggle in a certain ways that has nothing to do with the business, has nothing to do with the economy, has nothing to do with their concept or the service. It's just really frustrating because these are people who put in so much of their time, energy, money, resources
Mhm.
into this. And, in business schools, I've besides law school, I've also gone to business school. They teach you everything about how to set up a business, how to
Right.
scale, brand. They don't really put focus or attention on the person who's making all these decisions, the
Mhm.
person who is assembling the team or who's putting the vision of this company and values, right? And so you project and you bring in your beliefs that you have that limit you into your company. And that's how you run your company. If you have issues with, conflict, because as Shelly was saying, it matters to you what people think of you, right? Then you're not going to confront people. You're not going to maybe talk to your employees who are not performing, or let them go if you need to, or have difficult conversations with whether it's an investor or a client or a strategic partner. And so these are the things that hurt the business. What we're hoping this book will do is give that sense of freedom from these beliefs that really sabotage your company, your business, your life, and give you the freedom to make choices that are good for the business and that are good for you with that, because a lot of these, it's like a software running in the background. You don't even realize the decisions you're making or the decisions you're failing to make, steps you're not taking. And then it's like, I don't know why this is always happening, or why I don't know why I can never grow. And so what we're hoping to do is just, provide that freedom, that outside of the box freedom of people, so that they can make choices that are better for them and for their business. And one of the reasons that it took us a little while to write this is because we didn't want to write a very technical book. We didn't write a long one that's going to take people, months to read or weeks to read. It was especially understanding how entrepreneurs work and how,
right.
Efficiency, time, productivity is like, how do we condense this into this, kind of just more efficient delivery mechanism that's going to get people just understand what it is and be able to either do it themselves, or at least have an understanding where they can then get help and have real life examples. Every example in there are clients either Shelly or I had or worked with. And so these are real people that have gone through certain challenges that we bring into the book.
And I love that too. I think that's how, at least that's how I learn best. And typically I think that's how most people learn, is kind of this peer-to-peer learning or person-to-person learning, where it's like a real world example. So I can look at it and go, oh, if this person can do that, then I can relate. Shelly, what would be your hope? What's your perspective?
Yeah. Somebody said to me recently, how do you listen to all that pain and suffering all day? Because many people didn't have most delightful childhoods.
Right.
And I said, I never held it that way, not for 30 some odd years. And I get out of bed every day so privileged, makes me, but so privileged to help people, as Vahan said, to be free from their limitation. The mission of our company is to help people free themselves to live as the unlimited potential that they are. When I listen, I work with sexual abuse survivors. That's my favorite population, because you could sit in therapy for 15 years and talk about it and learn how to cope and get through it. But to actually go back and get rid of the beliefs, like I'm damaged goods, or I'm worthless, or I'm powerless, is a privilege beyond words, because it becomes something that happened. You no longer have to define yourself by something that happened to you 10, 20, 30 years ago, and the freedom that people get will never, ever, ever cease to thrill me beyond words. And to be able to put this in a book and put the process in step by step, where people can go through it. We have Eliminate Beliefs for free. You could go online and take yourself through it. But some people like to do it, with the reading in front of you. And so in the book, we take them through the process. And, we also talk about how, if you want to know what your beliefs are, the first thing is, as Vahan said, be aware of your patterns, your procrastination, or, nothing ever works out for me, or I'm working myself to death, or my relationships don't work. I keep meeting people who are, how many women have said to me, I meet nothing but emotionally unavailable men. Or how many men said to me, I meet women who leave me. and, it might be their mothers were never there for them or walked out, and they have the belief women leave. I also want to say one other thing about conflict, because Vahan brought that up as well. If you're a kid and your parents are fighting and one of your parents is abusive and hitting or screaming or yelling, or you get screamed at, you conclude conflict is scary and dangerous. And so now you're an entrepreneur, you have a business, and you can't have conflict. You can't fire people. You can't tell people that this doesn't work for me. That's going to stop you. That is going to hold you back big time. So my passion and the reason we wrote the book and my hope is, I was once on the Stairmaster at the gym before pickleball. I'm on the Stairmaster, and this gym friend looks very sad and unhappy. And I said, what's wrong? And she tells me something that happened to her. And I said to her, do you want me to just listen, or do you want to feel better? And she looked at me, and 20 minutes later, I had helped her eliminate a belief. And it was actually, I think, a belief about it was about men. She got rid of the belief. And I came home and I told Morty what had happened. And he said to me, that is my dream, that everybody could have access to this process and help people just like that. Just like that.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
And it's not even just you. Imagine the impact that's having to your kids as they see you,
right,
thrive and reach your potential and possibility, and your family and your friends that you inspire. And so that impact doesn't just stay, your employees, your clients. And so this is something that starts with you, but really has that effect on everyone around you.
Totally.
And if you get rid of the belief, I'm not important, which is one of the most common beliefs, and your child ignores you, you don't get angry because you don't give it the meaning, I'm not important. You just say, honey, I don't appreciate being ignored. I don't ignore you. I'd like your attention. But there's no emotion.
Right. For me, and I've explored some books, kind of the authorship side of books. Typically, people don't make a ton of money off books, right? They write these books to help other people because they're passionate about the work that they do. So it's not, some, for the most part anyway, I've from the stuff I've looked at. But so I just really appreciate the time, the dedication, the work to the actual process that you guys put into this book and the reasons why to get it out there and hopefully get as many people learning about this if they're hearing about it for the first time. But then also hopefully for the same reasons you talked about, it's important for us as responsible human beings. I believe, this is my belief, right? I'm going to throw that out there. I'll caveat it with my belief. I think it's especially as parents, as spouses, partners, friends, that if we carry around these hurts, the way they say hurt people, right? If we're carrying around these hurts, then we're hurting everybody, whether we think we are or not, right? That's the ripple effect. It's either a positive ripple or a negative ripple. And you guys are working on it looks like through the lens of, we need to take these negative ripples and turn them into positive ripples so that it does have the positive effect on kids and maybe elderly parents. When we look at, I've had Mark Woolen on the show, he talked about generational trauma. And, that's a lot of the work he does is around generational trauma. And that's what we're really talking about here is that's what I realized in the podcast with Mark one day is like, if I don't really dive into the deeper work with myself, my kids inherit my beliefs. They inherit my trauma. They inherit through osmosis, really. And through observation. That's kind of what you were talking about.
Yes.
And so it's like, if I truly love my kids, then I owe it to them to do some work on myself,
That's
right?
beautiful.
To do as much as I possibly can. And it looks exactly what you guys are doing here is this like, if we can't find enough motivation to do it for ourselves, look around.
Beautiful.
And then find the motivation. Because my motivation is usually I'm more motivated to help others than I sometimes, most of the time, will help myself. And so I'm going to use that, right, as a
Beautiful.
Good.
right? How do I pay it forward constantly? And that's
Yeah.
what it feels like you guys are doing, is just paying this thing forward and saying,
And,
hey,
and
you found systems you found a way to liberate this, these restrictions and these belief systems, and you just want to share that with others, which I think is beautiful.
that,
I love it. I love it. Well,
yeah.
Vahan, Shelly, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. I know that our listeners and our viewers will find value and the ripple. You guys have dropped in a big rock in a small pond today. Hopefully that ripples out and continues to go out on into the ocean and affect as many people as possible. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having us, Matt.
Thank you for being a part of the BriteVibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE Vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.